Being strong is hyped. This is awareness for professionals who are at those crossroads. If you are a professional at a crossroad, chances are you are not lost or careless or unmotivated. You are likely competent, dependable, and experienced, someone who has taken the responsibility seriously and followed the path with sincerity. A crossroad does not appear when people fail. It appears when awareness begins to question continuity. It arrives when what once worked no longer feels internally true, even though it still looked like acceptable on the outside. So how many of you feel that they are there because that is working as of now, but not giving you that fulfillment, that happiness that you expected? In professional life, strength is often rewarded as the ability to continue without interruption, to remain composed, to stay productive, and to not question direction too loudly. Over time, this creates the quiet pressure to override internal signals in the favor of external stability. And many professionals learn to call this as a strength, even when it requires persistent self-silencing. Can you relate to it? Because professionals at the crossroads are rarely struggling with capability. They are struggling with alignment. They can perform, deliver, adapt, yet something feels increasingly distant from their sense of self. This distance doesn't come from weakness. It comes from being strong for too long without being present to what that strength has been covering. What you are actually feeling inside when you are trying that part. And you still feel everything is working, I don't want to break it. In professional environments, toxic positivity often disguises itself as practicality. Be practical. This is how it works. I don't have time for thinking about all these things. It sounds like encouragement, but it functions like a dismissal. Phrases like, at least you have a good role. Everyone feels this way. Or just push through this phase and you will be okay. It interrupts the awareness by replacing lived experience with obligation. For a professional who is at that crossroad, these messages do not solve that uncertainty for them. They get into deep inside them. Awareness is different from overthinking. Awareness is the capacity to notice internal states without immediately trying to fix or justify or suppress them. For professionals at the crossroads, awareness is something that allows one to see where the energy is consistently drained and where motivation is borrowed rather than intrinsic, and where identity had become tied to performance rather than participation. A simple example is when you are working on your work, but rather than that work, something else motivates you more. You didn't find a reason to go to your work or even to wake up, but there is something else which is calling you and asking you and pulling you more than what you do work for. From a nervous system perspective, crossroad movements often arises after a prolonged adaptation. The body senses the misalignment before the mind can articulate it. So when professionals are told to remain strong, they stay in the action mode, which blocks their reflection and reinforces the urgency. However, awareness by contrast creates internal safety. And safety is what allows clarity to emerge without panic. Advice often fails professionals at the crossroads because advice assumes the problem is lack of information. But actually it is not. In reality, the problem is lack of internal coherence. Your mind is saying something else, your heart is saying something else, your external situations are saying something else. Adding more options, skills, strategies increases that pressure where awareness is not being integrated with the coherence. Clarity doesn't come from more input. It comes from honest contact with yourself. Let's redefine strength. Redefining a strength is essential at this stage. Strength here does not mean endurance at any cost. It's a misconception. It means the willingness to pause and question inherited definitions of success. Maybe your success doesn't work for anybody else. And to admit when a direction no longer fits without immediately demanding an alternative, this kind of strength is quiet and rarely validated. And yet it prevents years of misaligned effort. So these professionals at crossroads often fear that acknowledging uncertainty will lead to a loss of control. That's where their power lies, right? They can earn, they are financially pretty good, they don't want to change the system for many reasons, of course. In reality, ignoring awareness is something that leads to the drift. Presence restores the agency. It allows the decision to be made from truth rather than fear and the movement to arise from clarity rather than pressure. So being at crossroad is something that is a part of your awareness, and this problem is not a problem which you want to solve quickly. It is a moment that asks for your honesty before action. When professionals learn to stay present with this moment without rushing to redefine themselves or escape that discomfort, they regain the self-trust, which is the foundation of sustainable career direction. If you are a professional at the crossroads, so you are not behind, you're not broken or stuck. You are being invited into a more conscious relationship with your work and yourself because you are doing really, really great. And you want, and your mind and your body wants more of it, giving more meaning to it. It is an alignment beginning to this peak. So don't stop right there. Sit with that discomfort.